okay, one of the issues that we'll be talking about this morning, hitherto, and that's one thing a number of people are probably celebrating, the fact that, you know, hitherto, when we have stories of abductions and all, we hear that, you know, a good number of them are released, but not all of them were released. The Chibok girls, we hear a good number of them were released, but not all of them were released. And then those in the Katsina as well, and on and on and on like that. Now we have one that's, you know, happened in Papiri, and a number of people are saying, okay, we'll probably get clarity on the numbers.
The figures, because we need that.
But there's something, you know, I said it's just one day shy of Christmas Eve. But on the front page of one of the dailies this morning, one of the school teachers was saying, I never knew I'd do Christmas at home. And so let's have that conversation this morning with Bishop Johanna Bulus, who is the Catholic of the Catholic Diocese of Kontagora. He is also the proprietor of St. Mary's Private Catholic Primary and Secondary School. He joins us virtually this morning. Thanks for joining us this morning, Bishop.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's begin. I think congratulations is in order, Bishop, because the whole nation was very, very much on the side of everyone, particularly about the issue that happened. How did you receive the news? And when you received the news, how did it feel?
We thank God I received the news with great joy. With great joy that at last our prayers have been answered. And I feel that the Lord is with us, and that all those who have been praying for the release of these children, our prayers have been answered. So we are very, very grateful, first of all, to God, to the federal government, state government, and all the individuals, especially the media too, who have really helped us to broadcast this incident that happened. We are very, very happy. Very, very happy.
I can't even begin to imagine.
In fact, since I heard the news, I mean, the first time they released the 100, I started having some bit of sleep, you know, because we still have some of them out. Now that the rest have been released, in fact, the last 2 days I've been sleeping very well.
Now, Bishop, I can't even begin to imagine how the parents themselves felt if you know, feel the way you have said that you do. Then there is need for a bit of clarity, if you can help us. Have all the children been released? Because the numbers don't seem to be adding up. So help us get a better understanding. We heard that about 315 were abducted, but then if we do the calculation, first 100, then 130, we hear that 50 had initially escaped. So help us understand, total would say 280. But then we are hearing that there were 315. So help us understand what exactly the numbers are.
Well, at the beginning, you know, when this thing happened, we had the head count of 115, 303 students missing, and 12 teachers, making 315. As at the morning when this thing happened. And when we had that, because when we counted them, we couldn't find them. So anybody that we didn't see, we concluded that they must have been taken away. Until after 1 or 2 days, we started having calls from the parents, excuse me, that their wards, their children have been, I mean, they are back, those that escaped during the raid. And we had 50, which we have to deduct from that 315. And we now had 265. And it is that 265. So we now decided to also, the government organize a kind of register where we invited the parents, those that didn't find couldn't see their children, to come around and register. And of course, you know, it's a rural place where it's so difficult to get information across to all of them. Some of them, they don't have cell phone. It's a place where you travel 4 or 5 hours into the bush. So information get only by word of mouth. So at the first 2 days of the registration, we had 200 and I think 15 or so. And so the message started going around. Now, when we had 100 released, we also have to call them again that those that have not seen their children should come so that we were able to have an accurate number. And with that, I think the last 2 days now, we had the final, what do you call it, head count. I mean, those that their children are missing, you know. And we have the figure now. So when there is news that very soon they will be released, we what do you call it now? So we are waiting. And when we finally heard that 130 have been released, we say very good. Now we cannot come up with what we have found from our investigation. I mean, the final decision we had. We said, okay, what is going to happen is this. We sent the press release that our children have been released, and we didn't say anything about the number. I am expecting them today, anything, maybe from 12 to 1, they will be around. We'll receive them, thank God, and pray with them, and then send them to their parents where they'll be waiting at Papri to go and reunite with their parents. Now, the parents have been informed to come around to collect their awards or to be reunited. It is after all of them have received, seen their awards, and nobody is complaining that they didn't see their child. Then we now come up with the figure that we have already found out what happened, the figures that we have, and then we now reconcile everything. So that is why now we cannot say anything until all the parents have come and collect their children, before we now make the final decision. I think that is where we are. So that's why we cannot, because sort of don't have a conflicting figure. That is exactly what we are doing. We want to have accurate information.
Bishop Bulus, I need to be able to give you some ideas to how people are looking at this situation. Even one child in captivity in this country, at least for the Nigerian, for the patriotic Nigerian, one child needs to be, there has to be an explanation as to what happened to even one child. And it's even a little worse when we look at the visuals, when we look at how little these children were. It's an outrage to think that this is happening to children this age. But while we're busy looking at how all of that will affect their future and how their minds are going to work after this and how, what kind of therapy they're going to get for this, I need to explain something. The figures are very crucial. I understand the thinking behind what's happening, Bishop Bulus. I really do. However, it's important that the figures are put out there so that the Nigerian people can keep track, because every child that was taken in this event is a child that belongs to us. We're a community that takes care of our children. So we need to know what those figures are. Is it possible, Bishop, that you can look again at this idea of not giving us what the actual figures are, who is missing, who is left out? Is it possible that you can revisit that and maybe give us a number so we can actually keep track of our children?
Sure. I think I've answered the question. Maybe you didn't get me. That between today and tomorrow, I think you will have the figure. I said they are coming today. We are going to receive them. And when we take them down, we have the figure, but we don't want to announce anything without seeing the children. You don't organize naming ceremony before the child is born. So we want to have everything in place. I don't want to give a figure that will contradict what we say now and then later. No, we want to be sure. They say better be sure than sorry. So by the time, between today and tomorrow, we'll have an official statement with regard to the number. I promise you that.
Well, I'm holding you to that particular. I'm holding you to that promise, Bishop.
Yes.
Let's talk more about afterwards. So let's say all the children are returned home. One of the questions that came up when the abduction happened in the first place was how much security is in place. In fact, the Safe Schools initiative came under some kind of fire after that, because we start thinking about how can our schools be so porous that people are, bandits and terrorists are now able to use them as a source of income, kidnapping kids and returning them and, all those sorts of things. What happens afterwards for the school, especially for your school?
Yeah, you know, they say once bitten, twice shy. With what has happened, I think security has to be taken seriously, especially with regard to schools. And with the publicity that the place has received now, with what has happened, I am confident that we are going to be of security there, especially with the help of the federal parents to actually, but to know that they will want to see something concrete on ground, so that even the pupils, the students, and all, even those working there, once there is serious security around, I think everybody will be happy to go there. So something about security has to be done, and that is maybe I have a speech that I'm going to read out when we receive them. We have a suggestion what needs to be done, maybe this afternoon when they arrive, as what we need, what is going to happen, or what is our suggestion.
Indeed. Talk to us a bit about the community, because where St. Mary's is located, it's a rural community. How is the community handling all of this?
Well, I don't know. You know, I don't live there. When this happened, I went to the school to ascertain what happened, and since then I've been in Kontagora, because Kontagora is the center. If I stay in any other place, there will be nobody will contact me. Well, they have been, I think they have taken everything in good faith, and they are happy that their children are coming back. The federal government and the state government, they did everything possible to have them back. So I can't say much about, but I believe that everyone, especially those who have been calling me, to thank God that they are happy to hear that the children have been released. So, but now I think when it comes to this insecurity, everyone is now conscious of it. And I think that area too, I think some security personnel have been deployed in the place, especially Aguara, which is the local government center, and Papri, you know. The area before there was no much security, you know, it's a very porous, you know, that's why these people can come anytime and go without anybody challenging them. But I think with what has happened, I think the situation has changed.
You know, two things are playing on my mind, you know, Bishop. One of them is, first of all, healing and reassurance for the people. Now that the children are back, what concrete steps have been taken to support their healing? How are we reassuring the parents, for instance, that their children are safe when they go back to school? And then when they go back to school, what are the measures in place to ensure that they don't go through this trauma again?
Well, thank you very much for this question. The first thing is that when this thing happened, already UNICEF they have organized a training workshop for trauma healing for, I think, about 36 or 40 staff of the school and some other persons to help with the trauma healing for those that are abducted. And by the way, the first healing for me, as far as these children are concerned, is to reunite with their parents. That is the biggest of all the healing. You know, what they want now to see their parents and parents to see their children. That is the first thing. Once they see when parents have seen their parents, their children, and the children have seen their parents, that is the first big healing for them. You know, these are rural people who have taken so much of some of the stress that those living in the town cannot. So some of the things that we may be having in our minds, how would give the best feeling for them, the healing is the what do you call it? The reunion. The reunion. You know, that is the first. And so we are hoping and praying that as soon as now that we have all of them, this trauma healing, with those that have been trained, I think they will now start their work. And for the school to resume, of course, as I said, that we need to put the security measures to see that the place, there is serious security, that we encourage the people, even the parents, to send their word. So I believe that something will be done concretely, since some people have been trained to help these children that are coming back with the trauma healing and all this. So that has been put in place. And so it's a matter of time now. After we have received all of them, I think we'll start organizing that.
I mean, it's a very long process and very worrisome. How many of our children, how many children in schools have to go through all of this? You know, it's almost like we're putting our children in a situation where, you know, from the beginning, it looks like their country is not standing up for them. So it's a long process, and I can imagine how much work you and all those organizations will have to do with these kids. I want to be able to talk about the relationship and the synergy between you and the state government. Are there things that can be done? Because remember, initially when this happened, there was talk about information sharing and this being said and that not being said. And, you know, of course, we're past that now. But how is the relationship between yourself, the school authorities, and the state government now? Is there a better synergy in your view, or are there places where things need to be fixed?
Yeah, it has been fantastic, extremely fascinating. I think we have very good relationship with the governor, you know. In fact, when he called me to inform me officially that the last batch or the second batch has been released, you know, I know sometimes he also sings some of our Christian hymns. In fact, that's what he started with. Started singing one of our Christian hymns, thanking God that the children have been. So, very fantastic relationship. And I think whatever must have happened in the past, well, the friction is all part of life, you know. So that is past now. With the way he was rejoicing, so happy to receive them, you know, I want to believe that we are going to work together. So whatever must have happened, maybe the misinformation and all this, I don't think we can dwell in the past. So we have a very good relationship, and I believe that we'll build on that, you know. We're not going to dwell on the past.
Well, Bishop Johanna Bulus, I know that there's a lot that you have to do today. I'm holding you to a few promises that you have made. You're supposed to release a statement, and then we're also going to be waiting for you to talk to us about how many children were received, how many are missing. You're going to give us that. You promised. You said you were going to do this in 2 days.
Yes, it's a promise.
So I am holding you to that promise, Bishop.
It's okay.
But we want to thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So much for being with us on Sunrise Daily. Bishop Johanna Bulus, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Kontagora, joining us via Zoom in Niger State. Thanks again, Bishop.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all your support and all that you have done to make our case known to the world. Thank you. God bless you.
Anytime.